Have you ever sat on the edge of your bed in the morning, staring at the floor, wondering how pain somehow became your new normal? Maybe it starts in your knees, creeps into your lower back, or pulses in your shoulders, a steady, stubborn ache that never quite goes away. It doesn't scream, but it whispers all day long, doesn't it? And worst of all, you start to wonder, is this just how life is going to be now? You're not alone. Millions of people over 60 face this quiet battle with chronic pain every single day. And if you're like most, you've probably been handed pill after pill, prescription after prescription, until your bathroom cabinet looks more like a pharmacy. But deep down, maybe you've asked yourself, is there another way? The good news: yes, there is. Today, we're going to talk about 6 powerful ways to manage chronic pain naturally. No heavy medications, no complicated routines. Just practical, proven strategies that gently support your body, ease your pain, and give you back some of that freedom you thought you lost. And the best part? These aren't quick fixes. They're long-term habits that can help you feel better every single day. Let's start with something you can do right now, before you even get out of that chair. Something many people underestimate, but can make a world of difference: gentle movement. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but it hurts to move. And I hear you. When you're dealing with chronic pain, the last thing you want to do is stretch or take a walk. But here's the thing: movement, the right kind of movement, isn't your enemy. In fact, it could be your secret weapon. You don't need to run a marathon or twist yourself into a yoga pretzel. Sometimes, it's as simple as standing up every hour and doing a slow stretch, or taking a 5-minute walk around your living room, your garden, or just to the mailbox and back. Moving your body helps keep your joints lubricated, boosts circulation, and tells your brain, hey, we're still in this together. One woman I spoke to, Mary, she's 74, used to dread mornings because her knees would lock up and her back felt like it was welded in place. She started doing simple chair stretches for 10 minutes each morning. Now, she swears it's the reason she can go grocery shopping without leaning on a cart for support. It's not magic. It's consistency. And it works. When we stop moving, our muscles weaken, our joints stiffen, and pain takes the lead. But when we keep things flowing, even slowly, we send a powerful message to our body: we're not giving up. And that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, something that's just as important as movement, and maybe even more overlooked: what you eat. Think of your body like a garden. If you plant seeds in dry, cracked soil, they're not going to grow, right? Well, your body works the same way. If you're feeding it highly processed foods, too much sugar, or greasy meals, you're essentially watering your garden with soda instead of sunlight. But when you start giving your body anti-inflammatory foods, real, colorful, nutrient-rich meals, it can make a real difference in how you feel. Chronic pain often comes from chronic inflammation. That swelling and irritation deep in your joints and tissues, even if you can't see it, is what leads to those constant aches. But foods like leafy greens, berries, olive oil, fatty fish like salmon, turmeric, and even a warm cup of green tea can help reduce that internal fire. I had a gentleman write to me once. His name was Joe, and he was 68. He'd been on pain meds for years due to arthritis in his hands. Then he decided to try something different. He cut down on red meat, swapped sugary snacks for almonds and fruit, and added turmeric to his tea every night. 2 months later, he said he could finally open a jar without wincing. That might not sound like much, but when something as small as twisting a lid causes pain, that kind of progress feels huge. You don't need to overhaul your entire kitchen. Start small. Maybe switch out white bread for whole grain. Add a handful of spinach to your eggs in the morning. Choose blueberries instead of cookies for dessert. These little shifts add up. And your body? It notices. Now, while food and movement are like the soil and sunshine for your health, there's another force that can make or break how much pain you feel each day. And it's not physical, it's emotional. Stress. Yes, that weight on your shoulders when you're worried about your health, your family, or just the state of the world. It's not just in your head. It shows up in your body, in your muscles, in your breathing, in how tense your jaw feels or how tight your chest gets. When we carry too much stress, our bodies stay in a constant state of fight or flight. And that's a breeding ground for pain. So here's something to try. Close your eyes for a moment, right now. Take a slow, deep breath in, and let it go. Do it again. Noticing your breath is the beginning of letting go of that tension. You don't need to sit cross-legged on the floor or chant mantras to get the benefits of relaxation. Sometimes, just sitting quietly with your hand on your heart and focusing on your breath for 5 minutes can work wonders. One of the most powerful things I've seen is how people light up when they discover that. Relaxation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. Some find peace in gardening, others in journaling, walking in nature, listening to soft music, or even petting their dog. What matters is finding your way to calm, because when your mind relaxes, your body follows, and pain, slowly but surely, begins to loosen its grip. Just imagine waking up one day and realizing the pain isn't the first thing you feel, that you have this space to stretch, breathe, and move without fear. That maybe, just maybe, this chapter of life could be defined not by discomfort, but by resilience, joy, and the quiet strength you've always carried. We've started with movement, with mindful eating, and with calming the storms in our minds. But there are still a few more natural tools waiting to help you feel more in control of your pain and your body again. And sometimes it's not about fighting pain, it's about gently guiding our body back toward balance. That brings us to something that many folks overlook, but can be a game changer: mindful movement. Now, before you roll your eyes or say, "I've got enough aches," without adding more, hear me out. You don't need to run marathons or twist yourself into a pretzel. I'm talking about gentle, thoughtful movement like stretching, tai chi, or even slow, intentional walking. When we move with awareness, we're not just loosening stiff joints or muscles, we're waking up the connection between body and brain. Movement tells your body, "Hey, I'm still here. I'm still capable. Let's work together." One woman I met said she started with 5 minutes of stretching in her living room each morning, using her kitchen counter for balance. Over time, she noticed her back stopped locking up, and her knees didn't ache quite as much when she got out of bed. It's not magic, it's consistency. That slow, mindful effort sends oxygen to tight spots, reduces inflammation, and helps the body produce its own natural painkillers, those feel-good chemicals like endorphins. And guess what? You can start small. Even seated movements while watching TV or stretching your arms while waiting for the kettle to boil can make a difference. It's about tuning in instead of tuning out. Pain often screams the loudest when we ignore our body's whispers. Now, let's talk about something just as powerful and completely free: your breath. You might be thinking, breathing? I've been doing that my whole life. But most of us don't realize how shallow and tense our breathing becomes when we're in pain or under stress. That shallow chest breathing actually keeps us locked in a cycle of discomfort, sending signals to the brain that something's wrong. But slow, deep, intentional breathing, that's where the shift happens. Imagine this: you place one hand on your belly, one on your chest, and as you inhale gently through your nose, you feel your belly rise. Then exhale slowly through your mouth. Just a few minutes of this kind of breathing can calm the nervous system, lower blood pressure, and soften that tight grip of pain. It's not just relaxing, it's science. Deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, that lovely part of your body responsible for rest and healing. It tells your brain, "We're safe. Let's stop the alarm bells." Over time, this practice can reduce the frequency and intensity of chronic pain episodes. You don't need a fancy app or a yoga class. Just a quiet space, your breath, and a bit of patience. Let's take this a step further, because often, pain isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's tied up with frustration, anxiety, even grief. Maybe it's grief for the things you used to do easily: gardening, dancing, playing with the grandkids. Or maybe it's that heavy feeling of being trapped in your own body. That's where something beautiful called guided visualization can help. It might sound a little out there, but it's simply using your mind to paint a different picture. You close your eyes and imagine warmth spreading through your back like sunlight. You picture your muscles softening like butter melting on warm toast. This isn't pretending the pain's not there. It's gently retraining your brain's focus away from fear and tension and toward comfort and calm. Studies show that people who practice visualization regularly actually experience less pain. Why? Because the brain processes imagined experiences almost the same way it does real ones. And when you flood your mind with calm, healing images, it begins to shift its relationship with pain. You can try it right now, just a few minutes before bed, or anytime pain creeps in. Picture a place that makes you feel safe. Let your breath slow down. Let your body follow. Of course, none of this means ignoring what your body is telling you. If anything, these practices are about listening more closely, learning to respond, not just react. Pain may be stubborn, but you, my friend, are even more resilient. And speaking of resilience, there's something else we often underestimate: the food we put on our plate. You've probably heard the phrase, "You are what you eat." But when it comes to chronic pain, it's even more accurate to say, you feel what you eat. Some foods fan the flames of inflammation, like sugary treats, processed snacks, and those greasy comfort meals we all crave on tough days. But there are also foods that cool things down. Think colorful fruits and vegetables, omega-3 rich fish like salmon or sardines, and those beautiful healthy fats found in things like olive oil, walnuts, and avocados. One man told me that after switching to more anti-inflammatory meals, the arthritis in his hands eased up so much he could play piano again. It didn't happen overnight, but week by week, bite by bite, his body thanked him. And the best part? You don't have to give up everything you love. Start small. Add a handful of berries to your breakfast. Drizzle olive oil instead of butter. Swap one sugary snack for a handful of almonds. Your plate can become your medicine cabinet without any side effects. It's amazing how the simple, natural things, breath, movement, food, even the pictures in our minds, can come together to ease the weight we've been carrying for far too long. No, it's not a miracle cure. And yes, some days will still be tough. But when you start treating your body like a friend instead of a broken machine, something shifts. You feel a little stronger, a little freer, a little more like yourself again. Let's keep that momentum going, because sometimes all it takes is a small shift in how we care for ourselves to begin feeling more alive, more capable, more in control. Now, there's one more piece of this puzzle that doesn't get nearly enough attention, but it's quietly, powerfully connected to how much pain we feel. And that's sleep. I know if you're in pain, sleep is often the first thing to go. You toss and turn, trying to find a position that doesn't hurt. You wake up in the middle of the night, stiff and aching. And by morning, you feel like you've run a marathon in your dreams. But here's the thing. Poor sleep doesn't just make pain feel worse, it actually amplifies it. When your body doesn't get proper rest, it can't do the healing work it was designed to do. Sleep is when your muscles repair, your joints recover, and your nervous system resets. Without it, your pain threshold drops. What might have been a dull ache yesterday becomes a sharp throb today. It's a vicious cycle, and one that's hard to break, but not impossible. Creating a gentle bedtime routine can help. Dim the lights an hour before sleep. Turn off the TV and the scrolling, yes, even the cute dog videos. Sip on something warm like chamomile tea. Stretch your body just a little. Listen to calming music, or try a simple breathing practice. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to signal to your body, it's safe to let go now. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, don't fight it. Fighting only adds tension. Instead, roll onto your back, place one hand on your chest and the other on your belly, and just breathe. Let your mind drift somewhere peaceful. Sometimes, just being at rest, even if you're not asleep, is enough to give your body a break. What's beautiful about these natural pain management tools is that they don't exist in separate boxes. They work together. Sleep feeds your energy for movement. Movement lifts your mood. Better food calms inflammation. Calm breathing eases the stress that keeps you awake. It's like a wheel, and each spoke supports the others. But there's one more element we haven't touched on yet, and it might just be the most powerful of all: connection. Chronic pain can be isolating. You might find yourself saying no more often, canceling plans, avoiding activities you once enjoyed because it just feels like too much. And that isolation, it adds another layer of pain, emotional pain, the kind that doesn't show up on an X-ray, but weighs heavy just the same. But when we connect with a friend, a pet, a neighbor, a support group, something shifts inside us. We feel seen, we feel supported, and our brain starts releasing those magical chemicals again: dopamine, Oxytocin, the ones that tell our nervous system, it's okay. You're not alone. Maybe connection for you is calling a friend each morning to share a laugh. Maybe it's walking with your grandchild once a week. Maybe it's joining a gentle yoga class or a chronic pain support group, even if it's just online. Maybe it's sitting in the garden and talking to the birds like old friends. However you do it, connection heals. It grounds us in something larger than ourselves, something comforting. You don't have to walk this journey alone, and you don't have to pretend to be fine when you're not. There's incredible strength in being honest about your pain and still choosing to show up for life in whatever way you can. So let's take a deep breath together, right here, right now. Breathe in, hold it for a moment, and breathe out. You've made it this far. You've carried more than most people know, and you're still here, still showing up, still open to healing. That's something to be proud of. Now, let's pull everything we've talked about together, not in a list or a lecture, but in a way that feels like hope. You've got tools that live inside you and around you, tools that don't require prescriptions or side effect warnings, tools like gentle movement, nourishing foods, deeper sleep, calm breathing, visualization, and human connection. They may not erase pain overnight, but they change how pain lives in your body. They help you reclaim space for comfort, for joy, for peace. And remember, this isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's not about never feeling pain again. It's about building a softer place to land, giving yourself kindness, trusting that healing isn't a destination, it's a practice. One moment, one breath, one choice at a time. If any part of this message resonated with you, I hope you'll share your thoughts in the comments. You never know who might read your story and feel less alone. And if you're looking for more natural ways to take charge of your health, go ahead and tap that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. We're building a little community here, a place where age is just a number, and healing is always possible. You are not your pain. You are your strength, your resilience, your laughter, your heart, and you deserve to feel good in your body again. Here's to living well, loving deeply, and finding joy one day at a time.